So yesterday, the Federal Reserve moved to dismantle a pillar of crisis-era support for the world's biggest economy and stuck with its forecast to raise interest rates again. Hurricane Harvey, Irma, and Maria have devastated many communities, inflicting severe hardship, said the Federal Open Market Committee. But the storm-related disruptions and rebuilding will affect economic activity in the near term, but past experience suggests that the storms are unlikely to materially alter the course of the national economy over the medium term, and that is why we are going to shrink our $4.5 trillion balance sheet. Most people don't even know what I'm even talking about. But this is a really big deal, and I really thought with the storms, and especially with what's happening in Puerto Rico, we might want to check in and see what the Fed is doing.
Yeah, if that made your head hurt like it did mine, we needed someone who actually really understands this stuff. Danielle DiMartino Booth is the author of Fed Up, an insider's take on why the Federal Reserve is bad for America, and she joins us now.
So, Danielle, tell me what this means and what this is going to do.
Look, the Federal Reserve, in my personal opinion, didn't have any business blowing up their balance sheet and buying securities to the tune of $4.5 trillion in the first place. So I'll be happy to see natural price discovery go back into the hands of people who should determine the prices. That's one of the tenets of capitalism.
But this is
got the hurricanes all wrong. All wrong.
Okay, so before we go to the hurricanes, I am with you that they shouldn't have bought it up, but they bought $4.5 trillion in bonds. Does this affect us at all when they are starting to liquidate all of these? Who's going to buy them? And does this make us more unstable, or does this help us?
Of course it makes us more unstable. They're the ones who called it quantitative easing, so I'm not quite sure why they refused to use the opposite term, quantitative tightening, unless they just want to keep us in the dark. They've never done that before.
No. So my concern has been, and I have not heard anybody talk about this. In fact, just as I read a minute ago, everybody seems to be dismissing the impact economically of these hurricanes. And I'm really concerned about Puerto Rico, which has been on the edge of default forever. And now they're saying that the island may be uninhabitable for weeks. There's no electricity. It's been utterly destroyed. How do they make their bond payments? How do they stay solvent? And what does that mean to us? Because aren't we on the hook for them?
Absolutely. There is no such thing as a Brexit. It's against the law. We can't jettison Puerto Rico. It's simply not allowed. And yes, we will be on the hook. Look, fresh data came out that's already showing mortgage delinquencies in August were spiking because of Hurricane Harvey. And that only captured 3 days of August, and mortgage delinquencies in Harvey's path are already spiking. Well, I've got news for you. The delinquency rate in Puerto Rico is twice the national average, and
that's before
it will be economically devastating to that island.
So, but what does that mean to, they used to say if America catches cold, the rest of the world gets sick. What does it mean that Puerto Rico is devastated economically? What will that mean? Will it mean anything to us?
Well, it'll just mean that we'll have a bigger tab to cover. The bill will get bigger.
You said,
I guess that's important if you pay taxes.
You said that you were looking at the default of homes, but also auto loans. I've read several stories now. Kentucky, they have they're trying to deal with a run on the pensions because people are like, I don't think I'm going to get my pension, so I'm going to cash out right now. Illinois is the same way. These pensions are so close. How concerned are you with the numbers that you've been watching? Are we where we were last spring, or are we closer to the edge?
Oh, I would say that we're much closer to the edge. I wrote recently that I mentioned that we should break Illinois up into a few pieces, and boy, did I get a lot of angry neighboring state tweets because they're like, we don't want that garbage. So the pension issue, they're like, Illinois can stay in Illinois, thank you. And they're about to elect, I think, a Democratic governor who's going to make the situation worse. And this will end up costing taxpayers a ton of money because nobody will have the means outside of the federal authorities to bail out these states when the time comes. And it will be a bailout.
What is Janet Yellen thinking when she says that the economy is growing and it's getting really strong? I don't think there's any real difference from what we were doing to what we are doing now. And I see signs going the opposite direction. What are they doing at the Federal Reserve?
I don't know. I want to drink what they're drinking. Can I have a portion, please?
I don't know if I want to drink any of that.
It's good stuff.
Look, the coincidence, if you will, is that the New York Federal Reserve tracks economic growth on a real-time basis. And because of the hurricane's impact on economic growth, because the auto industry is in an outright recession, they've had to take down their estimates for the remainder of the year. And it looks like the U.S. economy is going to grow at 1.8% for all of 2017, which is, oh, by the way, where it's grown for the past decade or so. We call that stagnancy. So I'm not sure where she's getting her information.
So tell me.
But you ask the average walking Joe, and they're not going to tell you that we're just booming and going.
So tell me about the auto, because you've been looking at auto loan default, because that's a huge bubble, as well as I think we're in a smaller housing bubble, and we're also in a bubble of college loans. Tell me about the autos, because I've seen recently that the number of autos that are sitting around waiting to be sold as the new ones are coming offline is quite dramatic.
Oh, absolutely. Look, Ford announced yesterday that it's going to be putting on hold 5 of its factories because it's sitting on too much inventory. You know, there was a lot of excitement, if you will, that there were going to be at least 500,000 cars destroyed because of these hurricanes. But car sales are already down 3% year over year. Even if you absorb a lot of that inventory that's sitting out there in order to replace the vehicles, which I think of that commercial on TV, they're probably going to get 3/4, if they're lucky, of the car's value. So it'll really help used car sales. But even if it was a whole 500,000 new cars, best case scenario, sales would still be down year over year, and production is still in a recession.
Danielle, thank you very much. Thanks for the warning.
Danielle DiMartino Booth. She runs a economic consulting firm called Money Strong. Also, you can get her on Twitter at DiMartino Booth or at DiMartinoBooth.com. And by the way, the summary of that was not good news. I just wanted, in case it was a little complicated.
All right.
The situation, not good
news. So